Hi there, Nicholas here, and in this video I will go over the integration code, so the Node.js app, to create that integration with your Voiceflow assistant using Dialog API and Discord.js. So how the project is set up is we are using the main app.js and from here we are using the .env if you run that locally, or if you use the replit fork, then you can you will have to set those secrets. So we do have a template here. What you need is the Discord token, the Voiceflow API key, the app ID, and the server ID. Everything is covered in our README, so read that if you haven't yet. We will also explain how to create your Discord app and your bot. Whenever you're ready, you should have those information, and you can populate or the .env file or the secrets on your replit. So on the main app.js file, we the first thing we want to do is to set up the all the stuff we need for this project. So we need client routes, collections, the gateway in 10 bits. So we are using the latest API version, the V14, and this needs some tweak here. So it can be hard to find the information in the doc, so that's also why I wanted to set up that and share that with you guys. So the intent we are going to use is the guild messages, mostly message content, and the direct messages. So what we want to do with this bot is we don't want to be able to interact with the bot using text within like a general channel, for example. Instead, we want to use command for that. So if I type /ask, I will interact with my bot, but not if I type any text. We don't want to add noise into the conversation. If I want to interact with the bot directly, I will use DM instead. So that's why we also need the direct message intent here. Regarding the commands, so we are going to use commands to interact with the bot whenever we are not in a DM. We are like on a public channel or a general channel. And the way we've structured this is for each commands you will have a .js file. So for example here, this is the hello command. If you do a /hello, we will send, so the bot will send you a DM so you can start interacting with him in that DM. So that's the code to generate, basically to send a DM to the user that interact or launch that hello command. We also have an image command. So we've tried to cover a bunch of different usage. Here we want to trigger a specific intent in our assistant. So that's why we also have that dedicated image command. So /image, we will hit the interact function. So this is where we are handling our request to the Dialog API, the Voiceflow Dialog API. And this command is dedicated to this. So I'm sending an intent and I will get an image, an AI generated image from that request. Ping is one of the things from the Discord documentation. So it's not using Dialog API for that. It's probably just to show that you can also create your own interaction within your code without using Voiceflow if you want to. So this is just basically giving you back a latency from between the request and the response. And the question is also another one. This one has a bit of interaction, meaning that while you are on a public channel and you are using a command, we will allow you to interact with the bot. So basically, if you type ask, you will be able to put a prompt like the Midjourney bot, for example. So ask followed by your prompt, and we will send that to our Voiceflow assistant so it can answer that question. So that's also why we are actually using the interact, so the dialogue API. You can go over those different commands and see how we are handling the reply, because some of those, so for example, for the image, we are replying with generating your image, and then we send that request to the dialogue API, and when it's done, we are going to actually edit the previous message from the bot, and instead of generating your image, we will set that to done. So again, another way to show you how you can edit your message on Discord. So that's for the command. On the event side, that's pretty much the same thing, a bunch of dedicated JS file for specific actions. So the ready one is just whenever you start your bot, we will have that client ready event, and we are just logging this, logging the success result. Then we have the interaction create. So this is to handle any interaction. So can be comments, can be buttons, because we are also supporting buttons from the your assistant, your Voiceflow assistant response. So you definitely want to be able to handle that as well in Discord. The command part is right there. So based on the specific command name, we are going to execute the matching interaction. So that's why it might be handy to have those specific file for each command, because in the app.js we are loading this when we start the bot. So again, let's go right there. We can see that we have the command here, and we are basically passing all the command for each files that are available here in the command directory, and we do the same for the event. So it's again, it's basically in the beginning we are going into this directory, check for all those commands, and make those available in the bot. Same for the event. So that's for the input command, so the command, and this is for the button. So again, it's whenever you are using buttons, you want to be able to get and or send an action following a click on that button, and this is how you can handle that. The message create is the one that will basically handle all text command or text messages. So the more obvious one is this one. If it's coming from a bot, we are going to ignore that. This one is to check if it's coming from a DM, and it's coming from the bot ID as well. So we want to be sure that whenever we are interacting in a DM with the bot, we will trigger that part. So we are sending the content, so the message, to our dialogue API integration. The mention user is like for the command, you can also interact with the bot using a mention. So if you mention Voiceflow or the name of your bot, you will be able to add or send a text command after that, and that's how we are handling this. Again, we are just basically sending the message to our interact function, and we will deal with that to interact with the dialogue API. The last one is a little trick. If you want, for example, to check for a specific word or keyword in whatever the user is typing, in that case secrets, for example, if the user types secrets like this, we will send a DM message to that user. So again, it's just trying to cover the different type of interaction you can have by using your Voiceflow assistant, NLU, or just filtering a specific keyword in the typed message. So that's pretty much it. The last one we want to check is the in the utils directory, we have the dialog API.js file. So this is where we are handling all the different interaction we want to send to the dialog API. So from the previous event, we get an interaction, we get a user ID, and from here we are going to deal with, okay, is this coming from a button? And if that's the case, we want to know what the path is. So this is how we are dealing with this, because this is part of what the dialog API is sending in the trace. If this is an intent, we are going to use this action, and as you can see, the action we are sending to the Voiceflow dialog API is different. Here is just like the path. So if you send an action with a path, we will the dialog API will follow that path. If you send an action type that is an intent, we will trigger that intent. So again, different way to interact with your Voiceflow assistant. If it's coming from a button, if it's coming from an intent, you want to be able to handle those different cases. So this one is the specific one for the question command. If you remember, questions command is not only just a command, it's a command with a prompt. So the user will type some text. We want to be sure to get access to that text, and we can do this by checking if this interaction has the string question, so basically has something for the question options. And if we have a string, it means that it's coming from that question command, and we want to send that to the dialog API, to our Voiceflow assistant. Same thing for the image. If the command name here, we are just checking the command name. If it's image, and you can see here the name is set right there. So if you change here, just remember to change that also when you are checking for the command name. So if you add another command, you can add another condition here saying like, if my command name is anything else, then do this. In that case, what we are doing when the command name is image, we are sending or triggering an intent. And the intent name is generate image. And we have that in our Voiceflow assistant, and that's the flow that we'll use daily to generate a random image. Last one is text. So if it's not any of those interaction, it's text, and then what we want to do is just sanitize this, because if you are sending a text in a general channel or a public channel, you will get the text only from the interaction content. But if you are sending a DM, before that text, you will have the user tag here or the user ID, and we don't want to send that to the dialog API. So that's why we are just to get rid of all those information here. And we are sending this again with the action for the dialog API payload or in the request. So here we are sending everything to the dialog API function, and the function is right below. We will go over this one, but basically it's to be able to handle no reply. So if you have a timeout for the no reply, we want to be able to handle that. This function is here to clear that timeout whenever we are hitting the dialog API, meaning that if you get if your assistant sends an interaction like a choice step with a no reply timeout, we want to be sure that if you answer to this or if you click on a button, we are going to clear that no reply timeout. Otherwise, even if you reply, ultimately you will still hit that no reply. We don't want that, so we are clearing the timeout. This is the actual request, so the post. We are sending this to the endpoint. So again, this is part of the environment variable you have in your .env file or the secret. The user is coming from here, so it's basically the ID from Discord, and we use the interact endpoint. The action will be the action we've set based on the previous logic here, and we also have a config here. We don't want to use TTS. We are not going to use SSML. And we want to stop all if you are using custom action, for example, and we exclude those type as well. So the authorization will be the API key you've set in your env variable, content type, application JSON. So this is the part where we are dealing with the dialog API response. If we don't have, you just want to be sure that we have something to deal with. So that's what we are doing here. We want to be sure that that data array is more than 0. We are checking in that response if we have the end type, meaning that the conversation is ending, and we are going to use this whenever we have a no reply, because there's no need to set a timeout for a no reply if the conversation has ended. So that's why we are checking for this. This is the no reply part. So we are using a specific function for this to check, and so check if we do have a no reply setting in the response, and if we have a no reply, we want to get the available timeout, so whatever you've set in your assistant. Because the return value is in seconds, we want to be sure to multiply that by 1000, because the set timeout function in JavaScript need milliseconds. So that's why we need to do this. Where we were, yeah, okay. So now we've handled this is ending, the no reply. We can start to go over the different traces we have in our response. So if it's a text, we are just going to update the interaction. with the message. So it will be ephemeral. So it's just an easy way to make that response not visible by other users. So in the case you are triggering the bot within a public channel with a command, for example, obviously you don't want the answer to be visible to anyone. So just you. That's the what the ephemeral is used for. If we have a choice, it means that we will have some buttons in there. So we are going. So this is something you might want to go over, and I will not go too deep in this. But basically, to be able to use this with Discord, because we don't have metadata to the choice step. So basically, Discord need an ID for the button. So what we are going to do here is flag the button in the ID, flag the button as an intent. Remember, we are filtering those with the intent prefix or the pass prefix. So here we want to add that prefix, and for the custom ID, we are going to use the intent name as well. So that's that way. Whenever the user click on that button, we will be able to extract the intent name from the custom ID of that button. So it's just a little hacky way to set an ID with a type and the corresponding intent name as well. And then we generate those buttons in our response. So Discord will be able to then display those buttons. We want to be sure that we stop after 5 or 4 because Discord will not allow you to add more than you can't add that much buttons. And then we are adding those action rows. So this is basically the buttons to the response. Another trace type is the visual. So if we have a visual and the payload visual type is image, then we are going to embed. So what we are going to do here is just set a title, which will be image by default, and the set image will be the image URL. So that's how you will be able to show an image as the response. And the last one is how we are handling the no reply. So if we do have a no reply setting and it's not ending, so it's not the end of the conversation, then we set a timeout with the no reply of value, so the time here. And if the user do not interact after this time, we will send a no reply action type to the Voiceflow, the dialog API. So that will trigger the no reply. And that's it. Now I will show you this actually running on Replit. So here is the Replit. You might want to open the console, and you can run this. So again, assuming that you've set your secrets already, you've seen that the Voiceflow demo bot is now online because we've just started this. And so what you can do now is, because I've also added the bot to this server, as I was saying, you can ask hello image ping. So if we do a ping, round trip latency, this is just like the bot responding to this. Images, let's do this. This is going to trigger the generate image intent and generate this image. You can see this is ephemeral message, so you can dismiss those. It will not be visible for some other users. If I use the ask, now you can see we do have a question prompt, so I can do this, for example, who's Voiceflow CEO? And same thing here, we are interacting. You can see that we've had a waiting message here, and this message has been replaced with the actual answer from our first prompt. Voiceflow CEO is Brayden. So now, regarding the DM thing, is if you say, for example, hello, you can start talking with me in DM. And as you can see, now we have that new DM thing that has been open, and I can talk to the bot like this. But now I can say, who's Voiceflow CEO, for example. And because I'm in a DM with the bot, everything I'm typing is basically I'm interacting with the bot. So for you, we should basically got the fallback saying that I'm an AI and stuff like that. Yeah. But I can also say, for example, generate an image. And because this is one of the iterants to trigger the generate image intent, this will also generate an image. So that's it. That's how we deal with the Discord integration. Let us know if you have any question, or if you create some fun project with that. Do not hesitate to share all your work with us. Anything you want to share with us, we will be happy to see how you guys are able to use your Voiceflow assistant in Discord. You can use LLM knowledge base, and yeah, you can do some pretty crazy stuff here. But yeah, for today that's it, and chat soon. Bye.